Jennifer Vatsa, and welcome to my channel. I'm doing a couple demonstrations on how to use some of my products, and one I get questions on. The first one I did was a video on how to use ritual oils, and I do have some ritual powders. I don't make a lot, but I might make some new ones. So I'm going to break this into two categories because there is a little bit of a difference when you're using some of the baneful powders. But for standard, you know, like a road opener powder or blockbuster, I think I have a marriage proposal one, spell one, drawing a blank. But so for powders, depending on the ingredients in them, and I always keep the ingredients on the package. So this is just the road opener powder. Now I just want to show you one thing for the sake of difference. Now, a lot of powders that you'll see in occult stores and botanicas are going to look like this. This is a road opener powder, and basically what this is it's pretty much just cornstarch, maybe with some oils in it. There doesn't appear to be any herbs in it, but there could be. I don't know. But like comparing them, and get center. So I don't add the cornstarch to them. Now you're more than welcome to do that if you want to spread it, make this last longer. So this is the powders I do are the pulverized herbs. So they're pure. So rather than having the filler of, say, cornstarch or something in it, which, I mean, that's fine. You have like the raw ingredients, well, the dried raw ingredients, as it were. So now you can use ritual powders much in the same way that you would use a ritual oil. Like I will often take a little bit and say, you know, this is my candle. I put the ritual oil on it. And, you know, I'll just sprinkle a little bit of the powder on it. So you've got some of the powder. You don't want to put too much oil and too much powder because it can make your candle wick go out or be hard to light. So that is one recommendation that I have. I'm just going to stick the candle down there. You can use it if you make like little mojo bags. You can put the powder in there as well. You can sprinkle it in petitions. So if you have, you know, like your parchment paper, you can put a little bit of the powder in there. They're pretty versatile. I mean, there's really no set way for some of the standard ones of how to use it. I mean, in theory, you could put this in, you know, you could put a little bit, depending on the powder, you could put a little bit of this in your bathtub. I will be releasing a road opener salt, or it might be released soon. But that's one way. Right. You could put it on your altar. You could put it in like an offering bowl. You can use it in burnt offerings, things like that. You know, if there was something like, you know, you wanted to get a new house or, you know, new job, you know, maybe sprinkle a little on your way out, that kind of thing. Or, I mean, there's a multitude of ways that you can use it. Most of the non-baneful ones have safe ingredients in them that are fine to use that. You could put a little bit between your mattress, you know, however it seems, for whatever your purpose or intention is, that's how go with your intuition on how to use it. Now, when it comes to the more baneful powders, like, you know, hot foot powder, DUME powder, and Goofers Dust, they're used in very specific ways, and some of that is dependent upon their ingredients. Now, hot foot powder has a lot of pepper in it, a lot of like cayenne and things of that nature. It's going to be much more caustic. So no, you don't want to put that in your bathtub or in a place in which your animals, whether they're animals out in nature or animals in your house, might come in contact with it because it could irritate their paws. And it's very, hot foot powder, you know, you use too much of it's going to be very obvious because it's got a strong kind of peppery odor to it. And if someone's familiar with what hot foot powder smells like, they might be alert to what you're doing. Now, in some traditions, especially in like hoodoo traditions, there's a whole area of footpath magic, where, you know, sometimes you put it in the person's, like if they leave like in their footprint or their shoe or something like that. But again, it's going to have to be a very small amount, because I would notice if I put my shoe on and suddenly my foot was burning, you know. So the way that you use it, you have to take those things into consideration, that it could be very obvious. Now, if you sprinkle some on somebody's doorstep, you know, depending on whether they're taking their dog outside or have small children, those are things to consider. Now, again, you can use it in candles or mojo bags or jar spells or things like that, and that's fine. It works just fine that way too. Or you put it in the petition paper or something like that. I try to, when I'm doing that, make sure there's no accidental collateral damage, because I wouldn't want that to happen. Goofer Dust, depending on how it's made and who makes it, is a little, it's very, I find like I sneeze a lot when if there's too much Goofer Dust around, but you know, again, I tend to use that more in like candles, put it in petitions, jars, things like that. Again, you know, it's something you could, you know, sprinkle by someone's doorway, or, you know, under their car or something like that. Doom powder I would be more careful about, because it tends to have more toxic, and those things can vary from person to person on who makes Doom powder. But those toxic things, like, you don't want to sprinkle Doom powder, you know, to get rid of your shitty roommate, and somebody's, you know, dog walks through it or licks it up or whatever, and, you know, has an adverse reaction, or there's small children around or things like that, and, you know, put it in their mouth and stuff. So those are things to consider. Again, it's perfectly fine to use them on candles, in spell jars, in mojo bags, and things of that nature. If you're doing any kind of like coffin box, mirror spells, perfect. I tend to be a little more, like, it's not something I would go and, you know, throw across somebody's doorstep, because I live in the city, number one, and, you know, I just don't want children and small animals to walk through it and get sick. So that's just a little bit on how to use ritual powders. And I'm sure there's a multitude of other ways in different traditions and different witchcraft paths and different spells that you can use them, but that's typically like the in a nutshell of how they're used. So yeah, thank you for watching my channel. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. Bye.